So, this all begins as you travel through the Dolmenwood. And when you arrive at the estate, it is a moonlit night. You have to pull away brambles from the forest, the path leading into the estate, because there is a path, is covered and dense, half burying the way in. There are twisted trees that seem to close in around you, jagged limbs that just kind of lean in the moonlight. And you can see, or I should say, rather hear ahead, some ancient, massive stones with long shadows and the bright moon. Mumbling noises. I'll start with Hannibal. What do you do?
So I'm here. We're on this path together, and first thing I'd like to do is kind of take in my surroundings. I stop walking for a second. I look around, just to see if anything else speaks to me, if anything else is apparent.
You take a
In front
moment
of me.
to listen into the night air, but other than the ground being so well lit by the moon, you don't hear or see anything else. I should say you hear the noises of night animals, owls maybe, chittering things in the woods, a howl in the distance. But otherwise, it's occluded by something moaning and mumbling. And then as you wait, you hear a shrill voice, a woman's voice, as if she's screaming. That's all that you hear or see other than what I've described. Meanwhile, Cosmo, what are you doing? You can see 60 feet in the dark with predator vision. Well, that's about it right there, though.
Yeah, just before the cottage opening from the looks of it.
Yeah, and you can tell that these are massive, large standing stones that probably are 20 feet high, 15, 20 feet high.
Okay. Well, whatever with this place is, I'm going to tell them, hey, I see the stones up ahead, and I'm starting to get sick of bushes because they're a lot taller than me.
There are a lot of bushes. They probably have lost track of you during your trek because you have this strange habit of just disappearing whenever you're in the bushes. Meanwhile, Nate, so it sounds like everybody's kind of stopped, listened. You hear this mumbling. Is the plan to go ahead and go out into the open or try to remain concealed, or what do you think?
Oh, you two. You should hurry up and get to this cottage before these woods get the better of you two. Let's just strike out and go into the open. We're the only ones here, so don't fret about it.
All right, Cosmo suggests, I'm sorry, not Cosmo, Nate suggests going into the open and continuing on. What do you all think? That sound okay?
Yeah, I think we should be cautious just because of the sounds we've heard, but I do think we should proceed forward just cautiously. Cosmo could see in the
I'll stick
dark,
to the
so maybe.
bushes if need be.
You could do that. You want to stay in the bushes?
How long is that distance?
You can make it.
Okay.
It'd probably take you a round if there were fighting to get back. I suppose that is true.
Stay around the rock area, but like offset from the rest of the group, so in case people do see immediately through, I won't be seen right off the bat.
Okay. All right. Meanwhile, actually, I gotta check So you took a moment, plus you traveled this distance, so I have to roll a dice. All right. Hannibal and Nate, you approach the stones, and you see here that there is a stone circle of ancient standing stones, 15 feet tall. They're covered in eldritch markings, and they reflect the moonlight from the markings. They are mossy. You can see stuff hanging from the various stones like dangling beards. And you see that there's some kind of ritual being done here. There's 3 hooded men mumbling some kind of incantations in an odd tongue. Nate, you recognize this tongue. They're speaking Drunic, and they're engaged in some sort of Drunic ritual. One of them holds a knife aloft, a silver curved knife. The others are holding golden torques in the forms of owls and gnarled staffs, and they're dancing about the stone. I've got some artwork here. It looks like this. Except fewer people, obviously. And when you walk closer to them, it's clear that they see you. Also, on the stone itself is a woman. It's a young woman. She's bound to the stone. She's wild-eyed and and going like that. And her face is daubed in some sort of glowing blue paint. She's clad in a lacy black gown and has red hair. And she just looks manic, crazed maybe, a better word. And anyways, the cultist that's holding the knife over his head turns and sees you, and he says, "Ah, the portent. More have come. Welcome. Welcome."
What? Yes, hi. What is going on here? What did we stumble into?
Tonight is the lunar feast of the Big Chook, and so we offer him fresh blood. And she's going, and she's like going crazy, tied to the stone.
When we were walking up, could I tell by what they were saying that this is some sort of a chaos ritual, or is this some sort of?
Definitely, absolutely. Yeah, it's the Drunic ritual is offering this young woman's blood to some dark spirit within the woods called the Big Chook.
Okay, all right. I'm sure the Big Chook can go one festival without eating some woman's blood. I see a bunch of merry folks here who are willing to sacrifice themselves. Why don't one of you jump onto the slab?
When you say that out loud, the woman on the slab, she yells. She's going, and she's tied up, and she yells out. She says, "No, I want it to be me. I want it to be me." And she wants to be stabbed, apparently.
Oh.
Meanwhile, Cosmo, you see all this going on. I should clarify, I have you behind the stone right now. So far, it doesn't seem like they notice you. Go ahead, Nate.
I was going to say, well, if everybody's a willing participant here, be on our merry way.
What do you think, Hannibal?
I ask the people conducting the ritual, I say, where does this end? Are you going to kill this woman, or are you just going to cut her a few times? Is that enough to appease your gods? Tell me about this. What is the point of this, and where does it end?
Yes, my brother, come and join us. He offers you the knife. He says, Yes, all of it. All of it. We'll take her life, her vitae, and then we collect it in the sacred vestibule, and then we bring it to the Great Lock and deliver it to the Big Chook. He will remember us in his dreams.
I'll take the knife that was offered to me, and I'll slip it into my belt, and I'll go up to the woman and say, "Ma'am, are you consent to this? You want this to happen? You understand that there's no coming back from this, right?"
She has this glowing, paint on her face. She has this wild look in her eye, and she looks at you with a pleading look for a moment. She's like, yes, I want to be the sacrifice to the Chook. Please, let it be me.
Okay. So I actually have a question. Is this my land at this point, or are we just on the way to my land?
No, this is your land. You can see, I should have said this, I apologize. You can also see looming ahead a burial mound, a flat-topped hillock. Looks
Okay,
man-made.
so
This appears to be the place. You seem to have arrived, and you even have papers indicating that this is your land.
Oh yeah,
So
quick
I'm
question.
sorry.
How far is the range on a slingshot? Because I need to write that down.
I can look. But slingshot, sling, it can go 40 to 80 feet without a bonus or penalty. Below 40, you get a +1. Above 80, a -1. 40 to 80 feet.
Thank you.
Sorry, what?
Knowing it's my land, I would like to take out the paperwork, and again, I still have the belt in my buckle, and say, "Look here, what you do on your own property is fine with me. I don't care, but this here is my land. I have the paperwork, the papers to prove it, and I'm going to need you all to move your ritual somewhere else and leave my land immediately."
He looks at you now, kind of affronted, like you took the sacred blade, but do you show him these papers, or do you not have the papers and you just simply state that?
I have the papers. I guess for now I'll keep those hidden just in case he tries to take them from me. Um, but I make mention of the papers, but don't actually show him the
All right.
papers.
He says, that's impossible. This is a ley line. Our peoples have come here for ages. This is a sacred site. Beneath the moonlight with a big chook. These stones, this very stone, is sacred.
I understand. Maybe we could work out some kind of deal. I mean no disrespect to the Big Chook. However, that does not change the fact that this is my land, and I don't feel comfortable at this point with what's going on. So you will need to. Why don't we talk about this in the morning? Why don't we meet up tomorrow morning and discuss this? It's been a long journey.
They crowd in around you, looking at you. The woman looks at you as well, and he says, "I don't believe you."
At this point, I would show proof of the land belonging to me.
Oh yeah, go ahead, Cosmo.
Cosmo is going to be prepping her sling as seeing the people gathering around Hannibal.
Gotcha. Okay, I'll keep that in mind if something goes down that you've done that. Meanwhile, also, what is Nate doing?
Nate is just kind of looking a little nervous, trying to whisper to Hannibal, saying, "Man, how about they just do their thing, and as long as they clean up after themselves, they can just do whatever they want, okay?"
You cannot do that and be lawful. Can we make you neutral?
All right, I can work with it.
All right. You now know thieves can't. You don't know liturgic.
Got it. Like, we can do this Hatfields and McCoys in the morning. Just, if you guys want to do your ritual on the ley line, make sure to clean up after yourselves. We don't want any wild animals coming onto the property and causing a bit of trouble. We just got here, okay?
One of them looks at this one right here, and he says, this one looks to this one and then hisses, Hathian, he has papers. And the one he calls Hathian, he says, can I see that?
So I don't hand over the papers, but I show them just quickly. I show them, I hold it up, and I say, as I mentioned, if you'd like to meet tomorrow and discuss this, I'm all for that. I mean you no disrespect. However, it's been a long, long journey. And imagine if you came home to your land and found people you didn't know conducting a ritual on your property that you didn't consent to.
He
I don't think you would like that.
he takes his let's see if I can. He takes his staff and holds it up to the paper, and then he does some strange motion on his staff, and then it lights in bright violet color, and he looks at the papers, and he sees, that this is legal paper, and he says, Dombrace, he doesn't lie. This paper shows that he is the relative of Sir Chide. And with that, Hathian, the other, or Dombrace, comes over, cuts the woman down, and she slaps you, and then she runs off weeping and really sad that she didn't get killed for the big chook. And then Hathian is like, there's some misunderstanding here. We'll come back, but we mean no offense, for our ancestors fought with Sir Chide in the Fairy War. And we recognize, and he points with his staff over to the mound, and he says, we know that mound is holy, and we have an ancient pact with those people. We will speak to our order. And then he pulls his cloak over, and they walk off unless you stop them.
No, I breathe a sigh of relief, and I watch. I kind of nudge Nate, and look at him, say, like, give a look, like, wow, can't believe we got out of that, and watch them walk off.
All right. Let's see here. You're here at the stones. The central stone has an area where it looks like it was carved out to be like an altar. Where do you go from here? I'm going to bring everyone together just so everybody can see where everyone is.
Yeah. Of course, Cosmo would actually come out after they pass by. It's like,
So, Cosmo, where do you think we should go next?
Well, from what they're saying is that there's supposedly Fey heritage around here. I say go towards where they were going, like said. See what exactly is there.
All right, what do you all think?
That sounds good with me. I think investigating, just the land in general, sounds good. But specifically, that's right. They did make mention of,
The mound.
the mound. Yes. So I think that could be a good starting point, to look.
Okay. It turns out that the mound is there is a great granite slab over the entrance of the mound. It's overgrown with lichen, as well as sweet-smelling wild roses that twine their way around the edges of it. From where you are, that's all you see here. The mound, it goes up about 10, 15 feet, I think. And
So it's
slopes up.
blocked.
It does look like there's an entrance here, and there is a granite slab over it.
I think we should move forward and look at the slab, see if there's a way to enter, and if there's not if there's not like a clear entrance, I think I would try taking out the papers and seeing if holding them up does anything.
Okay. I'll bring you all up to the slab here. I hope it's okay. I kind of move tokens as a group sometimes, because I like to try to go from encounter to almost like theater of the mind. Instead of having you drag your token along like it's a video game, you don't have to do that.
Yeah.
Okay. Good.
Yeah.
Okay, so you go up to the stone, the granite slab, and you said that you wanted to examine it. It is cast in shadow in the moonlight. It is dark out here, except where the moon hits the ground. Full moon. But that doesn't make it easy to see the slab. And of course, Cosmo, you see in predator vision at night, and not under moonlight. You're seeing regularly right now, but in perfect darkness, you'll see them like infrared, and you'll see heat signatures.
Well, Cosmo's going to inspect if she feels any engravements on the was it big giant granite rock.
You touch it and see if you can feel any
Like
engravings.
feel around for any engravings.
Okay. You feel two things as you feel on the stone. One is you feel the sides of the stone, and you realize that the stone is just laid here. You think that possibly you could try to move it. The second thing that you notice as you move your hands across it is well, probably as you feel around it, you can feel that at some point in the past, there is grooves. It feels like this stone has been moved before and put back in place at some point.
Well, from what I'm feeling out is that, from what I can tell, this stone has been moved before, but I don't know how long ago. And if pulling over was Hannibal's hand, feel along here, and you'll feel like almost like handles, almost, but engraved into it.
And I feel where I'm being directed to, and I say to Cosmo and Nate, I say, "You want to give me a hand with this? Maybe we could try moving this as a group, seeing if we could open this."
I mean, I'm all for it, but How about I strike my lantern first so we can see where we're pushing this to?
Oh, I can do perfectly fine compared to you two.
All right. Yeah, I'll
Always
light
sneaking
your
a snack during the night, you know. And you guys always wonder who's sneaking.
boom. Nate, you now have a lantern that illuminates 60 feet. You're able to very clearly see the stone now, and on the stone you can see that this rough slab was put in place here. What is your strength scores? What are your all strength scores?
Cosmo has 10.
10. Okay.
16.
Nate has okay, and Nate has 14.
14. Aha.
You both are stronger than me!
Yeah, you think Cosmo and Nate, you think if you take 2 turns, you could probably move this thing with Cosmo, Nate, and Hannibal if you all moved it.
Okay, I'm up for it.
Yeah,
I'm
let's go
willing.
for it.
I'll push lower while you guys push higher. Due to how short I am, for goodness sakes. I did not get my mother's genetics!
All right. It takes a lot of power. Eventually, you're able to slide the stone, revealing stairs, dusty, caked with dust, stairs descending down into the dark.
I say we proceed.
Down the stairs?
Well, actually, I'm sorry. Maybe we should. I think I would look over at Cosmo and say, Cosmo, do you see anything down there with your perfect vision?
Well, if Nate dims down the lantern a bit, I could try to see how far I can see.
I should
And
note
see
you
if
can
it's-
still see with the lantern. I don't know if that's
Ah.
true, but I'm going to say you can. You get the benefits. If you're in the
Okay.
mythical underworld, suddenly you can see as a fairy creature would. And so you put your head into the hole, you look down into it, and it looks like in bright and dull red colors, you know, it looks like stairs. It looks like it goes down about 20 feet down to a landing. The stairs are caked in old dirt. When you put your head down into this hole, you can see stuff floating in the air, perhaps dust, motes of dust, perhaps. It has a dank smell, moist and moldy down below. And otherwise, you don't have perfect vision. In fact, actually, with the benefit of Nate's lantern, you can see better. When you look down, you can also see that there are scratch marks along the stone stairs where something was dragged along the stairs long ago.
From what I'm seeing, it's about 20-ish feet of flight of stairs before the landing. But do help. It looks like something has been traveling this up these and down these stairs. Because if you run your hand along the walls, you'll feel gouges of scratch marks. Like being dragged down or purposely up the stairs. And plus, it's quite dusty, and beware, it's like a moldy smell currently. Like there's still moisture down there somehow. I don't see anything else. Like I can't
Is
detect any possible movement unless it's complete darkness.
1 hour of dungeon time has passed, and you now must rest for 10 minutes. It's been stressful as you've arrived footsore, and then also had a probably maybe life or death encounter with powerful evil cultists, and were able to evade them. And then you spent time pushing this stone for 20 minutes. It is exhausting. And that's all. Takes 10 minutes to rest. 10 minutes passes.
Okay.
Okay.
Does anybody
Yeah.
need a bite of food? A little snack break?
stretch my legs. You know,
Cosmo's
take a
going to inspect her sling to make sure it's in top condition.
All right. All right, 10 minutes pass. You're rejuvenated, and what do you do next, Hannibal?
So I would walk over to the scratch marks and see if I could see anything in the grooves or in the the marks themselves to see
Sure.
if there's any tufts of hair or
Right.
maybe blood or like
Yeah.
nail, stuff like
Okay.
that.
So you have Nate hold the lantern. You get down and you look at the scratch marks. You don't find anything like tufts of hair or anything, or blood or old dried blood or anything. The only thing of note that you see about the scratch marks is it looks. First of all, you can tell the direction that the thing was dragged. You can see it's scuffed and abrased as something heavy was dragged against the stone up the stairs. Almost like
The
stone against the stone. And it was dragged
stone.
upstairs.
Now the place is dusty. Are these is it dusty around the scratch marks?
Yeah, actually, that's a good question. The dust seems to have accumulated over the scratch marks, so these scratch marks are very old.
Good to know. So I would share this information with my friends and say, hey, if you look here, you could see that there's dust over here too, and it looks like something was actually coming out of this area, going up the stairs. So whatever did this may have left, or at the least, it doesn't seem like it's been here for a while. If I think we should keep proceeding cautiously, but I think we should keep
Okay.
proceeding.
At least we now know what direction it was going.
Okay.
Let's head on in.
Oh, I think I didn't even give vision to Hannibal, did I? Oh, wait, no, I did, yes. And then Cosmo, you should have vision. You do. Okay. All right. So, it descends down 20 feet, and the stairs are caked with dust. It's musty, dank, still, and stifling. You also notice a deathly silence. It's so quiet, you can only hear your own footsteps against the stone steps. You can also sense as you get down further. So, I heard you say you go down the stairs, so I'm gonna bring you just that far, okay? You can kind of be two abreast. So here you are. Actually, hold on just a second. Realize something's messed up here. I apologize. I've got a little bit of
Tech issue.
a roll 20 issue here. Just want to make sure. I think. Almost done. Okay. Actually, I should also lock these. I lost all the doors. Is what happened.
Oh no, you didn't save.
Yeah, no, I fixed it though.
Okay.
Real quick on the fly here. So here we are. And You notice as you come down the stairs, and there's a room here that is about 15 feet by 15 feet, and the ceiling is about 15 feet high. So it's a little bit, it's like a foyer. It's a little bit tight in here, and you can sense that there's moisture on the ceiling and along the walls. You get that kind of damp feeling, and of course you smell mold and dank here. As you come in here, I'll describe what you see. You see that there are a set of large, heavy double doors against the far wall. They're heavy stone, and they're also streaked with damp. You can actually see moisture on them. Does anyone speak High Woldish? I think Nate speaks High Woldish, right? No, you don't. Yeah, that's
No,
right.
it
Yeah,
changed.
that's right. Okay. So there is an inscription that you can't quite make out what it means. Like, imagine Old English script and how hard it would be to try to know what it says, right? And then the floor is dusty. There's an entire cake level, just a ton of dust on the floor. And you see that there are plinths in the corners of the room. On the plinths are what you would recognize as religious objects. Saucers for communion, candles, scripture. And on all of them is caked a layer of something yellow. You think perhaps mold. And you also see a path going to the left and to the right. What do you think, Nate?
We don't want to get anywhere close to that mole. You know what? Let's go left.
All right.
Or, if anybody has a better idea, we could just sit in the center of the room and just yell out, see if anybody is here, and for them to come to us.
I'd rather have the ultimate surprise personally, Nate.
All right. Does that sound okay, Hannibal?
Yes. I think before we leave this room, I'd like to just grab a piece of or put my hand on the ground, and if it's like soil, I want to just smell it and see if I could tell anything by the smell. Like, I'm taking it that obviously we're underground, but if it's soft and wet, I want to see basically like if I could tell if we're near like a water source, if it's just normal mold from being underground or if it's something else. So I would grab a piece of the soil,
So
or
you
a handful
reach
of
down,
soil.
kind of feel around on the soil that's gathered here, or this dust or whatever it is. You realize colors are revealed as you move it around. And two things. When you look at your hand, you can see that this doesn't seem natural. The dust is, you think, mold, and almost makes you choke the spores as you hold it up. It's really awful when you're exposed to it, and it sticks to you and clings to you. You look down where you've moved it, and there's an image in the floor. It looks like there is a grand and large mosaic of something underneath the layer of mold. You also notice scratch marks coming from this direction, probably continuing the ones you saw from before.
I'd like to see what the mosaic is of, if that's okay with my two dear friends. Maybe we could use our boots and kind of brush off some of the dust and see if we could make out any kind of picture or display or um, make sense of the mosaic.
Sure.
Yeah, I agree with that.
Either way.
I do.
Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
We do want to be extra cautious because you saw what the scratch marks were, and we don't know how long it has been since it reappeared. Whatever beast it is, or possible person.
Right. Yes, I do think being cautious is definitely the right move. Maybe we could do this kind of quickly and quietly, uh, and then take off as soon as we take stock of whatever image appears.
As you're saying this, and you're looking down and you check the floor and the dust, you see something, the strangest thing perhaps you've ever seen in your life. These figures dance into the room and clatter, and one is motioning towards things, and they motion towards the plinth and towards the door and towards the floor, and then they motion to you and they wave high at you. It's a series of skeletons dancing through the room.
I wave back and say hello.
They wave back as well, and then they keep dancing on past you.
That's odd.
I kind of want to dance with them, but it seems like it's too late. They already left. But that probably wouldn't be a good idea.
Let's follow them. Doesn't hurt. Let's follow the dancing skeletons. They're probably going to be the nicest thing to see there. Okay.
Nate, I thought I was the dumb one. For goodness sakes, your caution to wind is a lot quicker than mine.
So
they did wave at us.
It could. Have you ever heard of the children's stories about dancing skeletons before, or something along the lines of it? Literally, fey creatures like to play with little kids and thus take them away.
I'm more scared of whatever made these marks in the over here.
What direction is it going? The same way as the skeletons, or not? That went.
I thought the marks were to the right. The skeletons
went to the right.
They came from the left and over to the right, from what I can tell.
That's for the scratch marks. Well, I'll let it move it. Anyways, in the meantime, do you still want to also try to reveal what's on the floor? And then it sounds like there's some discussion of either left or right. You also have a door ahead.
I suggest we finish cleaning up the floor to see what mosaic is underneath.
All right. To that, I have a question. Cosmo, what is your alignment?
Neutral.
Neutral. All right. So you all have to go into the room to do this. You go into the room, and all of a sudden, all of the objects on the table come to life, Beauty and the Beast style, and they start flying around you. And to Hannibal, this one, Hannibal, what is probably the worst thing Hannibal ever did in his life?
Hannibal cheated. When he was younger, he cheated in a game, and it resulted in a good friend of his getting beat up by his older brother. And he always, whenever he's feeling bad, he thinks of that and how his cowardice and shame led to that.
That's awesome. Okay, so it's a crucifix, and it like flies up into the air, and it flies towards you, And then it starts hitting you like left and right with the sides of its crucifix, and it's like, "You coward! You coward! How does it feel? How does it feel to be the one beat up now, coward?" And it's just floating around and hitting you like that. What about Nate? What did Nate do?
The worst thing that happened in Nate's life was a couple of years ago. He was working at Cosmo's dad's business. It caused a major incident which got 2 to 3 halflings fired,
Oh wow.
and he never owned up to it. Yeah.
It's a Bible. It's a Bible, and it flies up in the room, and it like talks like from opening and closing, and it's like, "You scallywag, you criminal," and then it just starts like smacking you and going back and forth and like hitting you and everything. The things, if you only knew what happened to those halflings, the course their lives took. Think of the children. And it just like smacking you and talking as it does and flying around you, and the pages are flapping and stuff. Okay, what about Cosmo?
It would probably be dishonoring her original name that her father gave her.
Oof. Let's see here. I think in that case, in true paternal fashion, the candelabra just like glowers over you, like looms over you, just disappointed. Look, like if you could imagine a bunch of candles, like and it lights and it's dripping wax on you, and it's like, "How could you have done that? How could you have done that, Cosmo? Why? You have broken your father's heart, even in the afterlife." And all this stuff is happening as soon as you enter the room. Anyways, what do you all do? You probably only have a moment to act before they start hurting you.
Let's go to the skeletons, okay? None of this would have happened if we followed them.
Either way, would have the middle of the room.
They pointed to all this. They warned us. They're our friends. Let's go follow them.
It's your fault if you get in a fight with them. Let's go.
Okay, sounds like you're gonna go to the east toward the skeletons. I am gonna say that if you leave, they each get a chance to whop you as you leave, because they are hitting you. So,
do we have time? I mean, so could we see any other entrances in this new area, like any doors or anything?
You just see these plinths that they were sitting on, these objects. You see the big iron, stone double doors, a path to the left. I'll move Nate here. It's weird. Why can't... Let me see what's going on, why it won't cast light there. So,
Probably because of the door issue again.
there's no door. It's so weird. Yeah, there's some kind of line here. Let me figure out what's causing this line real fast. It's so weird. Well, I don't know why there's a line there, but there doesn't need to be one, and I don't know why. But you can see over here that there's a circular antechamber over here. That's the only thing you can see, and then a circular antechamber the other way. And you can see the scratch marks continuing on into the eastern circular antechamber.
Okay. Yeah, I say we hightail out of there, and we have to, we have to get go. Well, actually,
hit.
yeah, but we didn't completely uncover the mosaic either. But could we see what? I mean, I know it's not completely uncovered, but could we see anything from what we've done so far before we get out of there?
Yeah, you can see it, actually, where it's you're scraping your feet across. You can see portions of a grand mosaic with a knight atop a white charger piercing the heart of a fairy knight. But there's writing, and you can't make that out unless you stopped and took time.
Okay.
but you have to
Yeah, I say we
activate.
get out of there.
All right. Each of them are going to get a chance. 2 of them on Hannibal.
Oh,
Does a... Oh, all the way up here. Does a 19 hit? I assume that 11 doesn't. You have armor. Does 19 hit?
let's see. I'm sorry. How do I? Let me
What's
pull up
your
my
armor
thing here.
class?
Armor class is 13.
13, and that's ascending. That must be ascending armor class then. You don't have armor? Yeah, it has to be
Thought
ascending. So you're wearing leather armor, but no weapon or no shield. Sorry, no shield. Okay, so leather armor. Yes, 13 hits. You take 2 damage. Meanwhile, the candelabra is dripping this hot wax and disappointment. The wax of disappointment on Cosmo. What is her armor class?
With leather armor is 13.
All right, you're able to endure it. Nate, what's your armor class?
It's a plain old 10.
10. The book hits you for 2 hit points.
Oh
As you all
no!
leave, who's the first person to enter this room? What's your order of march?
I'm gonna say Nate just booked it.
Okay, you booked it. Haha, booked it. And you run into the room, and before you get into the room, they don't leave this room. Okay, they don't leave the room, and they all go back to their plinths as soon as you leave. But as you run, Nate is ahead of you, and as soon as Nate enters the room, I'm going to ask you, Nate, what do you do as soon as you enter the room?
I'm gonna take a quick look around and see if we're still with the skeletons or if they just disappeared.
All right, you take a quick look around, and I'm not going to reveal to you what you see, but you see Nate run into the room, look around, and all of a sudden, and Nate turns into a stone statue,
Oh
and then
gosh.
falls to the ground as a statue. What's everybody else do?
Cosmo is gonna be halting in the hallway, seeing just Nate collapsing like that. It's like, okay. Something is triggering him to collapse like that, and Nate, you good? Nate? And he's not responding.
I'm going to keep my head down and not look at anything, and cautiously kind of go to where Cosmo is, and and just kind of stand next to Cosmo. Take a moment to think about our next move.
All right, you do that. It has been 40 minutes of dungeon time. So, what do you all do?
Okay, we need to drag him back out of that room. And Nate had the lantern.
Oh yeah, you're
You're
in the
gonna be
dark.
blind, and I'm not. This is great.
Well, maybe I'm not sure if he saw something and that's what made him collapse. That's kind of what I'm going on, just to be cautious, but I really don't know.
He did look around.
He did look around, yes. Maybe because you could see, maybe if you look just at the ground, and we could test it to see if it's up to you. But maybe if we could, or maybe even not. Maybe if we could make out where his body is, we could. I could go first and hold on. You could hold on to my back, or my sleeve or something, or vice versa, and we could go grab Nate and drag him out. But I mean, we definitely don't want to go back into that room.
You need to stay looking down. I'll keep my eyes converted from, well, your guys' height to see if it's something above. Keep it averted from above, and I'll lead you to it, to Nate. And let's see if we can get him more conscious if possible.
So let me make sure I understand. So you're not going to light a torch, and Hannibal's currently in the dark, but you can see in the hallway and infravision,
I'm not
and
gonna end up looking above a certain point.
you're going to look only at like knee
As,
level at
like,
person.
Yeah.
Okay, and
To make sure that if there's anything up above, I won't get hit.
All right, and then when you enter the room, what are you trying to do?
I'm going to grab whatever closest appendage of Nate is to me and try to drag him out of the room.
So I'm going to assume that you're going to go up just looking at Nate, and you're going to try to grab his arm, and it makes a loud sound as you drag his stone body, putting a big, drag mark across the floor into the hallway. And, yeah, you do that.
I tried to rustle out the water for wherever Nate placed the lantern at, tried to rustle it out gently but not too aggressively in case something does break on Nate, the stone statue.
All right. Yeah, you get the lantern. Are you holding it?
I'm now holding it so Hannibal can see again.
All right.
If it was still lit.
Sure, yeah, you've got you've got lantern now.
There we go. Now you can see again.
Thank you. Much appreciated.
Take it if Nate's... I don't know what happened to him. From what I can tell, since I went in, keep your eyes averted from a higher up, like your guys' knee level. Down, from what I can tell. But I didn't see anything else. Because I didn't want to get petrified myself.
Right. Smart.
This is the one problem, is we have petrified Nate that we don't even know what caused him to be like that.
Right.
And if you go in the room, you might become vice versa the same.
Right. So the fact that you did not become petrified does give more credence to our theory that he could have seen something that did in fact make him petrified. So we could go back to where we came. We could drag Nate, but we know for sure that there's danger that way, right?
Inanimate objects attacking us.
Right. So that's for sure. That's we know for sure that's there. We could test our luck and...
Do you have your backup ready? Sorry to interrupt, Glenn.
Yes, 3 possible other backups.
Yes. I have Butterfinger Bart ready to go.
So I just have a single question regarding, in all honesty, is the plan to try to continue in, or are you going to try to get past all this stuff and drag Nate out of here, I guess? Or, given how heavy he is and that there's like death in the other room and this in the other room, are you going to just kind of leave Nate here a while? It's both are fine options. That's not meant to imply anything. It's not a good... the point is, I want Glenn to be able to hop back in. So if you're going to try to keep moving forward, knowing that Nate is kind of petrified, then we'll have Glenn hop in with his next character.
I think it would... I think right now he's safe if we leave him where he is, kind of in a, I say
that, but
yes.
At least loot him with what he has, but make sure he has some of his rations. But I didn't pack that well because running from an angry father isn't the greatest.
What's his name again, Glenn? Butterfinger what?
Butterfinger Bart.
Butterfingers Bart.
Butterfingers Bart. Butterfingers Bart. Glenn. All right, and then edit token properties. Let's see. See.
So, from what we can tell is that we can have a statuified Nate here, get what we can off of him, leave him with some rations if possible, if he does come out of it, which is little zero from...
Hey, it's a win-win. If he doesn't come out of it, you get a statue for your cottage. If he comes out of it, you got your friend back.
What is
There you go. Yeah.
Butterfinger's alignment?
He is neutral. He's a thief.
What's the worst thing he's ever done?
He stole Long-Nosed Nate's spell book and tried to cast light on people.
All right. So, you were hired by Long-Nosed Nate to actually come here. But in the process, so he hired you to come to this tomb, to enter it, and to get a ring from the hand of a skeleton, a bronze band set with moonstone, its fittings in the form of woven branches. He offered you 5,000 gold pieces, but you only wanted the information. And in fact, you got it from him, stole his spell book, and absconded and left him, and then came here to try to find your own way to the tomb. And then you hear all these noises like, "Traitor! Rapscallion! Ne'er-do-well!" And these things are like smacking this guy, and he runs into the hallway like bruised and banged up. And a thief has come into the hall.
Who are you?
Welcome, mates! Seems you too have ran into the obnoxious furniture in this place.
Not exactly obnoxious furniture, more like cursed, I would say.
So you do know you're on my property, and I don't know you, but we could discuss that once we get out of here. I think for now, our friend was turned to stone. There's danger definitely that way, and I point, and we don't know what's ahead. But I say we stick together until we get out of here. Then we could discuss what exactly you're doing here.
Okay, a quick question. What did Nate have on him rational-wise, Mo?
Oh, we'll look at that later, but yeah, totally. Although it might be stone now anyways, I'm not sure. But he had a silver knife and some rations, I remember.
Yeah.
All right. Well, I'm going to toss it over, because you didn't get to play there for a second. I'm going to toss it over to Butterfingers. Butterfingers, what do you think we should do next?
I say that's a mighty fine idea, and I'm a friend of Nate's, to say the least, but it looks like he's turned to stone, so maybe we can get a pretty penny off of his statue.
All right, so you're in a hallway, are you guys going back into this room, or are you going in here, and if so, how and what are you going to do?
Corruption indictment, but the government dropped its case.
Do y'all want to face the obnoxious furniture and get out of here? Or shall we delve even deeper?
From what I'm getting at, we came here to discover something, then we ran into a ritual that was about to happen, but we got it to stop. And so far, we've came into a Fey mound, supposedly. That's what the cultists were going off of. And we're stuck here in the hallway because inanimate objects yelling at us, and the other way, that's how Nate got petrified into a statue. And surprisingly, I didn't by looking down lower. Like your guys' knee height, low.
I say we keep going. We're already here. The only way out is through. My vote, I very much will put it up to a vote and go with whatever option we agree on. But again, we know what's that way. We aren't sure yet what's this way. And I point So my vote is we go on through. We keep going further in.
Okay. Well, it sounds like that's what you're doing. It sounds like everybody's agreed to that. So, how do you enter this room?
Cosmo, of course, is going to be the same as she did to pull out Nate, look lower than higher, and proceed in cautiously. And probably pull out her dagger in case she sees floor movement.
All right. What about everybody else?
Hannibal puts his right hand over his eyes, just
Okay.
enough to kind of be able to look down and see his feet.
Yeah.
And I proceed slowly, and I'm making sure I look down, and I'm not making contact with anything above basically my feet, and just walk slowly to the
Sure.
other end.
All right. And Butterfingers presumably does that as well.
Indeed, yes.
Okay. If that's the case, because you came straight into the room, you would go straight to the other end of the room until you get to the wall, and then presumably you'd feel your way along the wall. So the only thing you see in this room is the scratch marks on the floor, which you distinctly see 2 sets. And at least as far as where you dragged poor old long-nosed Nate. And then you come into this hallway, and I'll describe what you can see from where you are in this next room. You see that there are 7 statues ringing the outside of a rectangular room. The walls are mold patched, yellow, like the stuff that was covering the objects on the plinths, but also with a vivid purple fuzz in places. You can see as well a faded battle mural along the walls, a knight on horseback in battle, his right hand obscured by patches of mold, 2 hounds at his side, also partially their necks and heads partially obscured by the mold. And you see a fairy army arrayed against the knight. You also see a doorway at the far end. What do you do?
So, because you're saying we see, does that mean that it's safe to look normally in this room? Should we assume that, or should we still be cautious?
You know, I apologize. That is a good point. You did specify that you were looking down at your feet. However, I will, if you'll permit me, say you don't need to do that, because that wouldn't be very fun to go through the whole dungeon like that.
Okay. Thank you. I think I'd like to get a little bit closer to these statues and see if we could make out anything of note.
Hannibal, don't go too far in. You never know, they could wake up, you know.
Well,
Right.
I was just to say, Bart,
You know,
I could look for any traps in the room.
please do.
You take a
I
round to do that? Let me search
Yeah,
for
I'll
you.
take that.
All right, Bart. Bart, you see him expertly go through the room, check behind things with his blade, check the ceiling, looks up, checks some corners, and then Bart, Butterfingers, you come up to where the mold is, and you put your blade, because you're checking the whole room. So, by the way, to clarify, there's always 2 things you can do, okay? You can always tell me what you do. Like, you can say, I want to go to the statue and I want to take my blade and check behind it to see if there's a gap behind it. Or you could be less specific. You could say, I want to take my 10-foot pole and I want to tap the ground in front of us. I want to take longer to do that. But that taking time is deadly in this game. But you can choose to do these things. You can tell me what you want to do. If you do that and you discover something based on what I describe, you don't have to roll dice. You just get it. You win. Okay? On the other hand, you can do dungeoneering checks. So Glenn knows that. So he said, hey, I want to check the room for traps. That's one of the dungeoneering checks you can do. You can search a room for secret doors, check a room for traps, listen at a door, force a stuck door open. There's a bunch of things. You don't have to worry about it. But you have a very small chance of actually succeeding at a dice check. So if possible, you never want to have to roll dice. Also, every time you roll the dice, 10 more minutes gets marked off. And that's more wandering monsters that come by. Anyways, so you Butterfingers checks the rooms for traps, and eventually you take your knife, you're checking things as you know to do, and you check the mold where the dogs are. And just a bit peels off, and you see on the dogs collars with names in ancient High Woldish. And you can kind of make out one of the names. It doesn't quite make sense. The other name doesn't make sense at all. One of the names looks like maybe chair or cheddar or cheller or like cellar. Like, you know, like imagine Old English words, right? The other name you cannot make out, like from the Old English, the High Woldish. But when you do this, you see the name for the dog. The mold comes off, and you can see the spores, the purple spores enter the air, and you're wise enough to back away and cover your mouth. You found the trap. Disturbing the mold in this room could hurt you.
Nobody touch nothing, especially with mold.
Now, that being said, Hannibal, you did say that you go and you look at the statues, so I'll tell you what you find. They are formed of dark stone, smooth and finely carved, while the statues themselves are impassive dark stone. In their hands are real weapons, strangely still in perfect condition. One of them has a flanged mace with a spiraling hilt. Another has a morning star with 2-inch long spikes. Another has a battle axe engraved in the shape of a horse's head. Another has a war hammer, its head shaped like a boar. And then another has a halberd with a moldy pennant on it, a spear, and another one with a serrated blade. And lastly, one of them has a gleaming longsword with wavy blood grooves.
I want that longsword. I very much would like. My initial thought is I would like to try to take the longsword, but I also think that I would end up dying or causing these statues to come to life if I did that. So I will leave it for now. I mean, are they like, how easy would it be to, would I know this, how easy it would be to just take one of these, or are they kind of part of, I know they're separate from the statue, but are they accessible, I guess, would be my question.
Yeah, it looks like it's just hanging there, like you could just take it right out of its hands.
Okay. I mean, I do have a grappling hook. I could always just swing it, but that's like literally the same as me just going and taking it. I'll leave it for now.
Okay.
I mean, I do already have a sword.
Sure. So if you do leave it, Cosmo, what's the plan for the group? Are you guys going to continue on to the north or go back the way you came?
since the way we came is now forwarded with a possible beast or something in the room, and we have to look down if we run through, then if we go through that, the inanimate objects of flight or whatever, spitting at horrible insults at us for certain things we did. I say we have to continue further, but I know we shouldn't be touching, but at the same time, these weapons would go for a high price. My father always says, get while you can, and then deal with the oncoming. He's
Right.
smart in some ways, but other ways he's not. He's lost so many investments due to his idiocy.
Okay, so you've got one vote to get the weapons, one vote to leave. Let me toss it over to Butterfingers. What does Butterfingers Bart think?
I got one question about the weapons.
All right.
Do they all look like they've been sitting here, or do any of them look recently disturbed?
They do not look like they've been recently disturbed. They do. You think by their fine construction, they have endured the moldy air, meaning that they perhaps were constructed by some unearthly means. But apart from that, they don't look like they've moved.
All right. I say we continue onward. The weapons will stay here.
All right.
We can always.
All right. You come to a door. Now, if you simply say, I want to check the door for traps or listen at the door, that takes 10 minutes for each task. Only one person can work on the door at a time. You can alternately just ask about the door and see, if you notice anything. Or you can just open it, or try to open it.
I'm gonna check the door for traps if no one else is going to.
All right, that takes 10 minutes.
Okay.
I always check those checks on my end.
Yes.
And all right, it's, by the way, it's been 2 hours and 20 minutes of dungeon time. And so you've had to take another 10 minutes to rest. Forgot about that. You check it for traps, and you see that it's a grand stone door set upon mighty black iron hinges with iron banding, but also above, at the top of it, I can't remember what it's called. This is killing me, so I gotta look up the word real quick. I think it's called trellis, in the shape of woods and branches and flowers and stuff engraved into the stone. You check it with your knife, check the sides, you gently open it just slightly, check for mechanisms. You feel very sure there's no traps.
Okay. Well then.
Does anyone open the door?
I'll open the door.
All right. You open the door and you see another musty stone hallway beyond, coming back to itself in a 90-degree angle. And from there, a long, larger rectangular chamber with stone pillars, and another hallway on the other opposite side of that. What do you do, Hannibal?
So, So if we check, it will take more time, which I feel like you mentioned time as a precious resource.
Right, like, so if another round passes right now, I'll roll another d6, and on a 1, a monster shows up.
Okay.
And that happens every 2 rounds, every 20 minutes. And a round will pass anytime you kind of spend some time talking or go a certain distance, or if you take actions to do dungeoneering checks like searching the room or search of traps, etc. But of note, you haven't actually gone into the room yet, so you don't actually know what's in there.
Right. Well, I believe I'd like to go into the room, and go into the room and look around, take stock of the room.
All right.
Again, cautiously.
This room is 20 feet by 15 feet. I'm sorry, 30 feet by 15 feet. In the southern portion is a double stone door. There's a hallway that bends back 90 degrees to the left, to the west, continuing in that direction. There are 4 stone pillars. Along the walls, there is a grand mural here. Relief carvings that you can see of a holy war against fairies, mighty knights with spears and swords and shields held against wicked fairies with beams of light coming from the holy knights. And you see here, also on the opposite end, is another set of double stone doors. Something is cut into the stone here as well in High Woldish, in that kind of Old English script. You can actually make out what it says because the script is simple enough. It says, "Call to the companions." And as well, you see a big, hardy iron chain, 2 of them. The links of this chain are probably this big, and they go 15 feet off to the sides into an alcove. As you enter the room, you can just barely see into one of the alcoves. There is a 6 foot tall, when it's seated, stone statue of a mighty hound. It sits in a guarding position, looking across at another hound in the other alcove. The chain goes up to a leash on its neck, and the chain is connected to the stone door, bolted into it.
So the statue has a chain that is connected to the stone door.
Yes.
Okay.
Man, if anybody else got any better ideas, I don't want to check for traps, but if there's a trap in this place, it's here.
It definitely is here with how this is. And if that's on one side, there's a high chance there's another on the other side with seeing another chain coming from that door.
Bart, I think Bart's gonna try and pull on the quote unquote leash and just like try and pull the door open using the chain.
All right. Bart, make a save versus death.
Save versus death. Oh god.
Oh,
Okay, my death save is 13, so we'll see how this goes. I think this is good. I got a 14.
Yeah, you yank on the chain, Bart, to see if you can open the door, and all of a sudden you hear, and a figure rising up near you, and this thing all of a sudden launches at you, and Bart, you tumble out of the way, and it shoots against the far wall as you dodge it, and you run out of the way, and this thing is like barking at the end of its chain.
you moved the wrong icon.
Oh, sorry. Well, anyways, when you molest the door, it seems to awaken these mighty hounds. But once you leave the door, it stops barking and snapping and goes back into its place.
Oh god.
Oh, that's just great.
Okay, well, you two are up next. What do you guys want to do?
So, sorry, please go ahead.
From what we're seeing is that we're missing a key to this door, in a sense. If you try to force it with little to our own personal health, one of the possibly two statues will come at us. Which seems particular.
Well, he did yank on that one's chain.
Did the door move at all when... No?
No.
Okay. So the statues were to one side, and there's another there's another exit, correct?
Yeah, there's an exit here to the west where it bends back on itself. There's a double stone door to the south. Yeah.
Okay. Maybe we should check the other ways for now, just to see what our options are. I can't think of a way to get past, that door with the stone dog. So maybe we should get closer to the south door to see what's down that way.
Okay.
Okay. You see a double stone door to the south. Let me check here. I think that's it.
Sorry.
Yeah, that's okay. Yeah. What do you do at the door?
Can you tell me what the door looks like?
It looks similar to the previous door that you came through, where it has kind of filigree and carvings that are sort of, woodsy and flowers and stuff, and it has two big, mighty iron black bevels that you would open it with, and iron banding and massive black iron hinges, and otherwise is made of stone. And there's two of them. It's a double stone door. It looks like you pull it inward from where you are.
Okay. Hmm. So there may be a trap there, maybe not. And to the west, so I know there's another exit there. Could we see anything if we go that way? Could we see if there's anything like what's exactly to the west? Like, is it just another door down that hallway?
Sure. Do you want to travel over there and look? If you did and came back, you would travel 50 feet, which would be about part of a round, 2/3 of a round or so for you all. A little bit over half of a round.
Okay. What does the
You could
rest
do
of the
that.
team
It's no
think?
big deal. I'm just letting you know.
I say to
Okay.
see where these doors go to that are in front of us right now, minus the ones that are guarded. And see where they go, because at this point we're either going to have imminent death, more death, pummeled to death, from all I can think of. From what we've came from to where we're at.
Right.
All right. So
Okay. Yeah.
all right, let's do it. You open the door, and you see a most strange sight on the other side. I'll describe it to you. You see floating dancing skeletons, arm in arm, slowly waltzing back and forth, but not just dancing, but floating in midair, waltzing with one another. Their feet dangling off the floor as they dance in a waltz. The floor is slick with moisture. It's covered in some kind of slimy moisture. One of the Skeletons wears a pearl necklace, another a gold medallion. You think they're probably worth more than 500 gold pieces each. You see here a number of stone coffers, 5 of them, lining the walls. This one and this one have its lid open, pushed to the side. Each of the coffers has a tarnished brass plaque saying something at the base of it. And you also see a great fissure cracked in the floor. Upon just first glance, it has an indeterminate depth down into this fissure. And you see sheets of slime, transparent, dripping from a ceiling in a crack in the ceiling above, and it's dripping into the fissure from the ceiling. It's coating the skeletons. And then on the far end of the room, there's a double stone door. The skeletons, one of them comes up to you and offers its hand to you, Cosmo, to dance.
I'm going to proceed to take the hand, but with caution.
You know what's funny? Almost everything you all have said, you're like, I do this, but cautiously. as if you weren't going to do it cautiously, you know, which I suppose you might not, you know, but let's see here. You start dancing with the skeleton. You find yourself floating with the skeleton and dancing around the room merrily. The skeleton looks like it's having a fun time. You hear?
Does it appear the slime is hurting her? Sorry.
Oh, sorry. No. As far as you can tell, no, it doesn't seem. Yeah.
Okay.
But you do feel like something slimy just suddenly suffuses. It covers your body. The skeleton whispers something in an old language you don't understand. Like, whispers it.
Is it Sylvan by chance? Because
Right.
Cosmo knows it.
Yeah,
if
no,
it's
it's
Sylvan.
not. It's not Sylvan. No. What is?
I'm sorry, my
Oh, go ahead.
Cosmo is going to say to the skeleton she's dancing with, sorry, but I don't understand you very well. I don't mind dancing with you. By chance, can you drop me off near the end of the doorway?
It nods.
If you so.
It nods and it takes a skeletal hand, holds its abdomen where it would be, and bows slightly to you in a gentlemanly fashion, and dances you over to the opposite end, where it then flourishes a bow to you and then floats away. But you don't find yourself going to the ground. You instead start to tumble toward the ceiling and fly up to it.
Oh no.
And you have this like greasy, weird moisture on your body now.
Okay, I'm now towards the ceiling. This is great. I advise not to get this slimy, greasy stuff on you, because what's going on is not right. Cosmo is gradually going to sweep some of it off gradually to see if it does any other effect to get down.
You seem to be having trouble getting it off of you.
Could I try and use my 10-foot pole to see if I can like reach it up there for her to grab onto?
Sure. Yeah, you extend your 10-foot pole, and she's able to grab onto it. What do you do then? You just try to bring her down to the ground?
Yeah, I think I'll bring her down to the ground.
You do
She
that, but you
tries to-
notice your 10-foot pole becoming wobbly, almost like the 10-foot pole is getting lighter, and you can see this slimy stuff moving towards your hand on the 10-foot pole as it starts to cover the pole.
Oh God.
You
Um.
let go, and I'll use it to push myself down towards the ground.
Okay. Good idea.
All
I
right.
let go.
You
It's up
you
to
do
her.
that, but she's a little halfling, so she's still about 2 feet off the ground by holding the pole up in the ceiling, and her feet are dangling. But yeah,
Not working. Which is great. But at least I'm closer to the ground this time.
Hannibal, what are you doing? I know one of the skeletons asked to dance with you now.
The skeleton wants to dance with me. So I do not. Well, actually, before I make that decision, Cosmo's still in the air, right?
Yeah.
At
Well,
this
not
point,
exactly. She's, from what I understand, holding herself down off the ceiling. But you
And
don't,
I
by
still
the
have 2
way,
feet.
it's not like magnetism, okay? So it's not, or gravity. It's not like you're forcing yourself off the ceiling. In fact, it's very easy. In fact, you can just hold the 10-foot pole up, which feels weightless, by the way. I want to know.
Because it has the slime on it.
And you can hold it off the ceiling and it's almost like 0G. It's just very easy to hold yourself off from floating up.
and the ceiling, like I look up real quick, and there's ceiling everywhere, right? Like there's no, like, are there any holes in the ceiling that we
There,
could kind of float up to?
There is a hole in the ceiling. It's directly above this great big fissure. There's a hairline crack along the ceiling with some kind of purple goo falling out of the hairline crack down into this fissure. And you
Is
notice
the
that
purple?
there's purple
Sorry,
goo along the the caskets as well.
is the purple goo coming from the ceiling as well, or is it just on the fissure?
It's coming from the ceiling and falling down into the fissure.
Okay, got it. All right, so I don't want to go up there then and get purple goo on me. I am going to decline the invitation to dance with the skeleton.
The
Or
skeleton takes her hands and like goes like this, and then like goes like that as if it's distraught, and then bows to you, and then goes off and dances with another skeleton.
okay, yeah. Don't want to hurt the skeleton's feelings, but I also don't want to start floating. So I will. I kind of want to see more of the room, but stay away from the goo.
Okay.
So, I'll make my way, I guess, south, and I'll stay away from the hole. Make my way south and see if I could, like, I'll just take in the sights, see what I could see about the room.
Okay. There are brass plaques on the coffers. They have an engraved portrait on them and a name. Apart from the tarnished brass plaques, there's nothing else that you would notice in this room that I haven't already described.
Okay. Can I see the name?
Which one do you look at?
The one furthest from me.
Okay, you'll go over to B here then. B, it says, you see a engraved portrait on a brass plaque of a stocky, round-headed man with a chunky beard, and it says, Lord Brigforwith. And you see that the cover is off of this coffer.
Off of the coffer.
Yeah.
Could I peek in
Actually,
the
I kind of have
coffer?
this a bit wrong. There's two floating dancing skeletons, not three. Yeah, you look into it. It is empty. Okay, what about Nate? What are you doing? Or not Nate, sorry, Bart.
Bart is gonna Well, we have we have a lantern going. Bart's gonna go look at the other door. The one that the skeleton was trying to land Cosmo to, and kind of just check it while we're figuring out what's going on here with these extremely polite skeletons.
All right. It doesn't look locked, and it looks like the same as the previous door.
Okay. Well, I mean, I'm all for moving ahead if anybody else is.
Yeah,
I
I'm
am,
down
but
with that.
I'm gonna have to go towards the ceiling and walk on the ceiling.
You find it easy
No,
to
I
do
can
that.
just-
As soon as you let go of the 10-foot pole, you just like float up with your feet, and you're just upside down on the ceiling walking.
I'm
But
giving
your
this
hair
10-foot
is
pole
like-
to get my.
Oh, go ahead.
Okay. I'm gonna keep this 10-foot pole so I can at least be upright in your guys' position to talk to you two more decently if we go to a different room.
Yeah, you almost have to moonwalk. But anyways, Cosmo, are you opening this door?
While being upside down?
Not Cosmo. Sorry, Bart.
Yeah, I'll open it.
You open the door, and all of a sudden, these religious objects fly toward the door, flapping at you like, "You traitor! Scoundrel!
God
You
dang it.
blackguard!"
Well-
And they all just rush the door. You only have moments to act before they start beating on you.
I'm gonna close it. Like, we don't need more of this, okay?
Cannibal, it looks like we did a circle.
You think we did a circle?
Yes, while I'm still up here, and from what I saw, what just happened, we just did a circle. Because those objects, if I'm not right, if I'm not saying, if do be told, those are the animated objects in the first room.
So you're saying that those are the same ones that we encountered previously. So we kind of went
Did a loop.
clockwise. I mean, but did we take a right anywhere? Like I
Yeah.
hmm.
We from the
went
entrance when
counterclockwise.
we first went in.
Yes. Sorry.
Middle of the room, we get pelted. Then we went to the right for us from the beginning, but we did technically do a circle all the way back to the front again. But we went around
This is why it's good to map.
anti-clockwise in a sense.
It's way worse when it's stuck in your mind.
Because we went
So
through a pelting room of objects to a room that literally petrified Nate, to a room with armory or statues with weapons and a mirror, to a big hallway with columns and two distinguished possible statues of dogs that are chained up to the door. And
are you
we just
remembering all
got-
this? But I'm sorry. Like, is this all from memory that you're repeating this?
Yes.
Yes.
That's
We got
impressive.
one more unchecked door.
Yes.
We got one more unchecked door minus the dog door to check.
Yeah. This is the okay. Out of game.
Superpower slash
ASD.
disability.
Yes,
Yeah.
my superpower slash
And/or.
disability. I literally remember the most craziest details ever. Like one
That's
good
amazing.
example is that I still remember when I was like about 3 or 4 or 5, around in that range. I sat in my grandpa's lap with a plaid-esque Christmas dress with a pair of semi-opaque white tights and a pair of Dorothy glitterified shoes that you could slip on.
Ooh.
Wow. Yeah, I'm impressed. Like
Yeah,
that
it is
was
impressive, yeah.
that was impressive.
Maybe you don't
Um,
need
So
a
yeah,
mapper.
playing
You've
these
got
type
a
of
map.
games, like another good example would be Ross and I are in one of Lane's games, which is the Moonthorn game. And I remember the dissecting of the mutant deers.
Wow, yeah. That was like, yeah, something specific. Okay, cool. So, yeah, you did a loop, and you came back. So, What do you think, Hannibal? What do you think you all should do? What's the overall plan? Is it do you want to try to fight with the things in the entrance and establish dominance? Do you want to try to go back the way you came? Is there anything else?
Isn't there another door?
Just the way you came and the way ahead. From here, there is not another door.
I mean, let me think. So if we go back the way we came, I believe there was another door to the west.
Indeed.
We could try that door.
All right.
Or, yeah, that would be my vote. We go back, we try the door to the west. Unless, I mean, I don't know if there's anything else in this room. I feel like we kind of explored it enough. I kind of wanted to scoop up some of the purple goo, but I don't know.
Not to touch it because I'm drenched in it.
Okay. Yeah, you're still drenched in it. That's right. So I guess if we needed it for anything, we could just take it from you. Do my two friends do you think we should go back to the room we were just in and then try that door to the west? Are you both comfortable with that?
Yeah, I say let's go check the last door.
Okay.
I'm going to avoid any. Did the last room have a ceiling?
All right. So you guys move back the way you came. The skeletons are very polite. They let you pass and bow as you pass. Cosmo, are you walking along the ceiling?
Yes.
Okay,
And I avoid the dripping fissure from above.
You avoid the dripping fissure from above.
Yes.
Okay,
fissure
so you circumnavigate this dripping fissure and don't look at the...
Just in case, if I step into it, I might go through to somewhere else that I don't know of.
All right, and we're going back to the west. So the first thing you come to is another door. It's similar to the other ones that you've seen. 3 hours of dungeon time have now passed.
I'm getting tired of hanging upside down.
Yeah, you are walking, and then she's just like, upside down there on the ceiling. Yeah.
I have a grappling hook. What if we tie the grappling hook around her and use that in conjunction with the pole to kind of keep you from being upside down?
Well, from what I'm understanding is that the purple stuff does like to creep along.
So if you start to try to experiment with it, you notice it does a little bit, but not enough if you're careful to where it will infect you, if you will. However, if you touch rope to her, you find that the rope suddenly feels almost weightless after a while.
Okay.
But it does.
Okay.
Yeah.
We now know that anything that touches me is going to feel weightless to you guys, but at the same time, it might float up. So better hold on to it while you still can, so I can get yanked down when need be.
What armor are you wearing?
Leather.
For what it's worth, you now move as unarmored. So instead of 90 feet, you move 120 feet. And instead of, I think it's 20 feet in combat, you move 30 feet now. And you do a -2 to attack. You don't have to remember any of that, but these are the effects of being weightless. All right, who's going to open the door? Or are you going to check?
I volunteer for tribute.
Please do, because I can't open it from my angle.
Open the door, and I will describe what you see in here. You see decaying wooden pews, heavy with age, broken but once solidly built. A stone altar on this end of the room. a statue of a holy saint, a crusader holding a thick red candle aloft. The wax is dried red. It's dripped down from the statue onto the altar. The velvet cloth upon which it sits is disintegrating with age. You see also a ragged tapestry showing the gates of heaven with two knights meeting at the gates of heaven. You see the tapestry right here. And then there's a corridor that continues on the other end.
Cosmo is going to proceed to, well, first check if there's a ceiling, which is technically her flooring at this
It's
point.
a little higher here, and it's concave, so it's a bit troublesome, but yeah, there's a ceiling.
Okay, there is a ceiling, but certain parts I'm going to have to be shouting at you guys. Just a heads up.
Oh, you guys aren't going to tie her like a balloon now? I thought you were going to use the rope from the grappling hook with the balloon or something.
Yeah, let's leash her to one of us so she doesn't float away by accident.
I think that's a good idea. I'm fine with tying like the rope around my waist and then tying the rope with the grappling hook around Cosmo to stop her from floating away.
All right. So, Bart, where do you guys go from here?
Well, in short, there's not a whole lot to look at in here. The last thing we got is the dog door. What do you guys want to do? Because I'm kind of at a loss.
Hannibal, can you go over to the tapestry? Because it seems interesting.
Yeah, let's go examine the tapestry cautiously.
Of course.
Okay, Hannibal, you go over. The tapestry is showing the gates of heaven with two knights meeting in death at the gates of heaven. What do you do?
I'm tied to him, remember?
Okay. Sure.
So we're over there together, examining the tapestry. Could we look behind the tapestry?
Sure.
I could make it float.
Do you want to make it float, or Hannibal, do you want to grab it and pull it, or what do you do?
I mean, if we make it float, that's actually kind of a better idea, because then it will. I'm picturing it just kind of floating up in a way where we'd be able to see behind it all at once instead of like just kind of peeking. We could also maybe make it float and then get out of the way, so if there was some kind of trap attached to this, we might be able to not be affected by it.
Hannibal, swing me towards it, please.
All right.
So I
You go like
grab you and
0
swing you.
G towards this thing, and you touch it, and it's moldy and nasty and soggy. But the goo starts to spread off on it, but it doesn't make it just like float off like a balloon, but it eventually becomes light enough to where you could gently just like either hold it or pull it, and you find that behind there is a door behind it.
There's a door.
A wooden door,
Nice.
swollen with damp.
We might have to break it down. This is the one problem, because it looks like it's been drenched in water or liquids of some sort.
Yeah, let's try to break it down, or let's try to open it.
You
And
try
break
to
it down
open
if needed. Yeah,
What?
right? Yeah, let's try to
Hannibal,
open
do beware that I am tethered to you.
Coming from this end, Hannibal, you pull and it's kind of stuck, but from this end you're able to pull it open, and it comes open. And weirdly, what is happening with the light? There we go. I know you guys didn't go into the room, but I just want to give you the light, okay? So
Well, I'm tethered to
looking-
him, so I have to
looking
go.
in the room, yeah. And you see in here, beyond the swollen wooden door, you see a collapsed wall with rubble strewn all about it, dark earth, a narrow tunnel 2 feet wide. Well, I'm sorry, maybe it'd be like 8 feet wide, delving upwards, and a moldy writing desk on decaying wood, carved into the shape of angels, with a drawer. And there is a... Yeah, that is what you see as soon as you come into this room.
So you said there was a tunnel? Was that correct?
Yeah, there's a tunnel on the northwest side of the room. And a writing desk with a drawer, and it's carved into the shape of angels.
Carved
Oh.
into the shape of an angel.
I say don't go into the hole or go too close to it, Hannibal. Because I know for a fact that I'm going to be safer because I'm on the ceiling here while you're on the main floor.
Right.
Even if we're tethered, I'm still the safer of the two of us.
Right.
Depending on how big the creature or whatever could come out of that hole be.
Right. So what do we all think? As a group, let's take a vote. Cosmo, so what would you like to do in this room?
I would say check out the desk. The furthest thing away from the hole, but still keep an eye on the hole. Just in case something does come out of it.
Okay.
Okay, quick question.
Let's
How long
look
is
at
this piece of rope that you tethered to me to?
Well, it's part of a grappling hook, so I would say like 10 feet. And we could, that's from my understanding, 10 feet, 10 to 12 feet. We can wrap it around your waist how many times that we need to. So basically anywhere
and
from
reel
like...
myself in to get closer, but not touching.
Right, exactly. So I would say no
Okay.
further than 10 to 12 feet, but besides from that, as
Okay.
close as you need to be.
Okay.
Yeah, and I think examining the desk is a good idea.
I'll
Okay.
keep an eye out on the ceiling while you do the desk. Well, I will keep an eye out on the hole while you search it, if need be.
Yeah, see if there's any, and even though we can't read it, if there's any writing that resembles the dog names from those statues in the armory room. That could be a key to something.
Yeah, there has to be something, some way to get past that. So yeah, that's a good point. Yeah, so I'll examine the desk then, the contents of the desk.
The desk is decaying and flimsy, soggy. The drawer is locked.
Ooh.
It's locked. Could I smash it? It's decaying, so could I like smash it open, or
I
like...
would throw you my dagger, but it might float up.
I can pick the lock, maybe. Just in case there's anything in there just as old as the desk. We don't
like
want to
something
break
delicate?
anything. Yeah.
That's a good point. If there's something delicate, then yeah, maybe smashing it open isn't the greatest. Unless, I mean, if you want to try picking it. If not, I'm sure we could, break the lock without hurting the rest of the desk. But that's a good point. I would try that first.
Before we do this, I wonder, so we've been playing Dungeons and Dragons now for 2 hours and 24 minutes. Have you all noticed anything? I wonder.
We haven't rolled any dice.
You haven't rolled any dice.
We had extremely
Not
polite.
yet.
All right. So Bart, Butterfingers Bart, this is how I treat thief skills, but I roll it on my end. No, actually, I'm
Okay.
sorry. For picking a lock, you roll it. So you will make 2 checks. One will be a deft success, where you silently click it open and get it with no, and you just like get it open perfectly. The other one might cause some noise, or it might maybe it takes time. But the first one is you can do your lock picking skill, which is a very low chance of success at level 1, I believe.
Yeah, it's a difficulty of 15 if I'm looking at this chart,
Yeah,
right?
you gotta roll a 15% or below on a D100.
Yeah. Well, they don't call him Butterfingers for nothing. Let's see if he can get this.
You're gonna get this. I'm not gonna get that.
Oh my god.
What'd you get?
I got a 14.
That's awesome. Tink. And you just perfectly slide it open quietly. Finding its contents inside, you see an old mold-covered book. The pages stuck together, damp, mostly indecipherable. But you see hanging within a leaf of a brass sheet inscribed. It seems to be a homemade pastoral poem by the former resident.
Ooh. Okay.
It's written in
I
Moldish.
think I'm just. Is it High Woldish or Simple Woldish?
Simple Woldish.
Oh, okay.
We could read it.
Yep.
Yeah. Let's try and flip through the wet pages and see if we can read something about this place.
Okay. The pages within the book are hard to read, but this brass sheet, inscribed by whatever former resident of this place, is a poem, a song about Sir Chide and his hunting dogs who were favored.
Ooh.
One of which was named Flager, the other Cheddar.
Flager? Flager and Cheddar?
What?
Mm-hmm.
Flager and Cheddar.
So,
Okay.
so we could definitely use that to try to let's. Sorry, I'm getting excited, but I think we should, take our time. But I think we should take those names and try to speak those to the dogs in the other room.
Well, I would be less likely to get hit if we do test it. Because I'm on the ceiling and they have to jump to get to me.
Well, wait. Let's hear the rest of this poem because there's probably more to this than just saying the dog names.
Right, I know. I got a little excited.
No, actually,
yes, please.
there's nothing else. The rest of it's really vapid. It mostly just kisses Sir Chide's butt. Oh, he was such a great hunter. Oh, he was a great son, and oh, he was a great father, and oh, he was a great this, and goes on. And end of his hunting his 2 favorite dogs, Flager and Cheddar. It's actually pretty terrible.
Does it describe what weapon he uses?
No.
Dang it. Okay.
Yeah.
I'm gonna say maybe we gotta dress the part of Sir Chive and speak the good boy's name and see if that helps. Or we got this tunnel. I mean, 50-50. It's up to you guys.
Oh, I definitely. So the rooms are right next to each other, right? So I think that we should definitely try the dogs first, because we could always come back to the tunnel. But I feel like that's. I don't know. Like I feel like that's more important to me. But again, I'm willing to, take a vote on it and do what's best for the group.
No, it's fine. The dogs are 90 feet away. So another 10 minutes passes altogether. Everything. You come back to the room, and I'll describe the room again. There are relief carvings on the walls, scenes of holy war against the fairy. There are 2 massive stone double doors. The stone doors are smooth in surface. An inscription in High Woldish is something you can still make out. It says, "Call to the Companions." And there are 2 massive stone hounds, larger than 6 feet, sitting on their haunches, chained to the door by their neck.
Okay, do you want to try this, or shall Bart nonchalantly just walk up and call out their names? Hannibal.
Yeah, I could. I mean, I don't think we have to be close, right? So, I mean, I'll try just shouting the names. What is it? Flagar and Cheddar.
Yeah.
Hannibal, do you remember I'm tethered to you?
These
Yeah.
dogs, they turn. They were facing each other. Suddenly, they turn to the south, and it pulls the chain, and they lower their heads in submission to you, and the door opens,
Nice.
revealing a large stone chamber on the other side, with a massive, a massive sarcophagus, and that's where we'll end the adventure for the night.